price fluctuation is not much interesting now, but the news which are coming out into the market really is. Some of these are giving us the insights which actually leads us to a stronger fundamental base of our digital asset, that's XRP. Now at the same time, we also have some FUDsters, I'll say. Now this is Toneways. Yeah, I recently did a live stream in which he actually hammered XRP, and many who are actually new to the market wouldn't actually understand what he is stating, because there's a lot of point of confusion which they are raising. But for me, those are actually foolish statements to actually understand what this guy actually stands for and what he actually states about XRP from a long time.
Buy the dip. Ripple is one of those coins that really bothers me. Ripple was always a scam coin. I got rid of everything by 2015. By 2015, I realized that everything else in the crypto space is total nonsense. And
yeah, now when he says that he left everything other than Bitcoin behind in 2015, that looks good, because in 2017, XRP just went 140,000%.
And that's how I see the Ripple token, and I've always explained it that way. There's absolutely no reason for this token to exist. There's no reason to add a very volatile currency, and Ripple is insanely volatile. Ripple just dropped 20% in a single day the other day when it fell from 30 cents down to 26 cents. These things are insanely volatile, and there's no reason for them to exist. And
now for the part of which he explained XRP is so volatile, yeah, I have different opinion about that, but this is BTC on a daily, and if you actually go check it on 12th March of this year, you can see 30% dump in a day. So he still think BTC is not volatile compared to XRP. XRP is so volatile. They're actually stating that there is no use case for XRP to exist. And what is this and what is happening around you? Those who guys have been watching our videos from a couple of months or some time, they actually know what is actually happening, the use cases, the fundamental of this particular asset. Now this actually irritates guys like this, because they don't actually understand. If you actually look at this, you can actually see this is like 3600 plus seconds, Litecoin 600, Ethereum 120, and XRP just does that in 4 seconds. They can't even compete in any way. And when you actually move down, the next thing is scalability, which is actually required in a governmental level if you are looking for a central bank digital currency, or let it be another private institutions doing the payments. They won't be dealing with 10 payments, 100 payments a second. They will be dealing with thousands of payments, and they actually need something really scalable, and that's why XRP is scalable. Next is the part of being eco-friendly, which these coins here can't actually compete in any way because of their entire system. They are mined, right? They work on proof of work system. With that mining stuff, they can't actually come anyway close to XRP being eco-friendly or being green and sustainable. And for common man, they actually doesn't much care about the 3 seconds event. That's more that, and the scalability even is more for the enterprises. But what a common man will actually look forward when he is doing a payment is the fee, right? And that is so much cheap. You don't actually want to do the same. Say for example, BTC transaction would be at least $2 if the network is not congested, and the rare times when the network were too congested, it was around $55 per transaction. So no one would actually want to go that way, because when you look at this, even during any volatile fluctuations, XRP is not that high in fees. It's so low, so cheap and fast, and that's why it is so efficient, right? And then you see individuals from Ripple the company talking with all the high influential corporate giants and individuals from the governments. Now this is a previous video which we have actually done back in February, late February, and that was during a time when Anthony Pompley and another BTC maxi are trying to bash XRP and put FUD against it. Now compared to Toneways and Pomp, I'll say Pomp was much smarter guy in many other ways, but I think he doesn't have taken his own time to do the research for XRP, how it works and all. But the statement Brad Garlinghouse makes here is really on point.
Have payment networks that are not interoperable. I jokingly, but it's actually serious, point out that if anybody here decided, hey, I want to take $10,000 from my account at Wells Fargo and move it to Barclays and have it in pound sterling, the fastest way to do that is to get on an airplane at SFO and fly it there. That's a crazy statement. I mean, another manifestation that I know that, I am a PayPal customer, I'm a Venmo customer. The lack of interoperability is manifested even within that network. And so
the reason for Ripple, the coin, to exist is so clear. It is fundamentally strong and it is reliably correct. And this guy doesn't actually understand that now. Why is that? Because when you actually go through that particular video I did that related to Pomp, it's actually staying the same for everything. Brad is actually talking to an audience, not like the BTC maxis, right? He's actually talking to reputable guys who are in governmental institutions, giant organization who's chairing. Now, on this particular stage, he's actually there with the PayPal chief, and he directly talks to them about PayPal and Venmo. They actually own it, like it's like a sister company. Still, there is no interoperability within them. And in this video, I have actually highlighted PayPal, and there is another initiative from PayPal, which is Zoom. Okay, PayPal and Zoom, they don't have interoperability within that networks too. So interoperability is a huge part of this, where no other coin can actually come in. If you're taking digital assets, interledger protocol is something which is going to change everything, and these guys don't actually understand that because they're not taking their time to go through this. Now when you actually check out, there is another video put out by Sam. I hope many of you actually already have viewed this, so I won't go much into that, but Sam actually did a cool job tearing this guys apart. They don't actually get the point that they can't actually compete in this particular aspect, because now the world is going towards central bank digital currencies, and there is no way in which they are coming on top of it, because there is no reason for them, not them, the asset BTC, to come into this. Because if you are looking for payments, central banks are coming out with statements in which they are directly showing this. At least if, I'm not a native English speaker, but if they can actually read English properly, they can read through these statements from central banks. This is not like I'm making my own statement, right? This is from Bank of England. Although Bank of England has already said BTC or Bitcoin and other similar cryptocurrencies. Remember, similar cryptocurrencies doesn't meet the necessary criteria to be considered money. And in continuation, they actually states this. That doesn't mean that it's impossible for somebody to improve upon that technology and create something that is much better. So we already have that, and that is the reason why we have been highlighting this thing. Someone has actually improved that shit, and now it is so effective. It's frictionless. It gives all the use cases which you actually want in payments field, let it be in remittance or any other transaction, settling the transaction, giving the message, being fast, being scalable. Everything is actually present there. Even after being all this, why these guys doesn't actually care about XRP? On putting that in another perspective, they can't actually digest this. Why? Because there are aspects when these guys are taking their time to bash XRP on wherever they can get the stages which they work on. But in this video, I've actually shared a couple of aspects of Ripple, the company, talking about XRP or Ripple. This is a stage where Brad Garlinghouse shared it with the Deputy General of IMF. So that's a huge stage, right? Considering the monetary policies and the financial side. Now, this is another one in which Brad Garlinghouse shared the stage with the IMF chief and a lot of individuals from the monetary authority or central banks. So in many ways, Ripple is changing the entire financial structure. The landscape is being changed, the framework is being laid out, but still these guys doesn't get an idea about what's happening. Now, they still think that BTC is the store of value, and let it be. I don't have anything against Bitcoin, but when they actually state there is no use case for XRP and there is nothing reliable about it and it shouldn't be existing, I don't really understand what they are going through, just go log into a computer, go on to the Ripple website and see what they actually state about that. This is the basics, right? If you even have 10 minutes to go through this, you'll understand what the fundamental of this asset is. Now, starting with the one from Jack the Rippler. Now, he's actually showing a positive news here because JP Morgan Chase and United States' largest bank has actually reportedly taken on US cryptocurrency exchanges, Coinbase and Gemini. So yes, that's not directly related to XRP, but it is, because within the cryptocurrency exchanges, as you guys know, many are actually trading XRP. It's not only you and me who's listening to this particular video, but there's a lot of guys in the XRP community, right? And we are actually doing our research and we know the fundamental of our asset and we are buying the dips. Exchanges are now being opened in a different manner. When I say that, meaning when previously the banks in US were actually not accepting crypto exchanges, but now they are actually accepting the exchanges as their customers. Now, one positive part for this is the transaction for Ripple is actually going from a bank to an exchange and then to another exchange and then back to another bank. So exchanges are really important for XRP transactions, as we know. So when this is happening, that means there is some kind of change in the financial landscape, as we know. Now, when we actually move ahead, we have another one from DJ Peter Vass, and in this he's actually showing that DBS Bank joins HSBC and Citi by partnering with R3 blockchain. So that is another initiative where we all know that XRP is there. This is another one from XRP Crypto Wolf, and he's actually showing us something really interesting, because when you actually see that, we actually showed it in front. Bank of England states no compromise on our principles for any future central bank digital currency. This is on May 12th. Guys, this is an update which you really don't want to miss, because when they're actually going in deep about the central bank digital currencies, they're actually stating it clearly. We are clear that any choice of technology around central bank digital currency should be led by a set of requirements and not the other way around. So they are actually looking at the requirements. So for them, it will be, you know, the regulations, all the other aspects where the privacy should be kept. Now, they won't be actually going directly only for the technology because of the technology, right? They'll actually first dictate what the requirements are and then use the technology which actually support those requirements. So in that aspect, you can actually understand that we there, meaning XRP will be running through that veins as well, because central bank digital currencies are being prepared in a way that it will be another walled garden. So in that aspect, they still need to transact between any other walled garden. The most notable is the idea that any provisional CBDC would run as a public-private partnership. Now, I don't have to dictate that to you guys, but that is so simple and self-explanatory. It's, public and private partnership that would provide citizens with the base level of aspects to digital currency without cutting out private initiatives such as Libra and thus hampering competition. So they are actually looking at competition, and for them competition is something good, because that's the way the end customer will actually get something better. And in that same aspect, when you look at the public-private partnership for CBDC, you actually understand that central bank digital currency needs an intermediary to work perfectly, meaning for transactions and the payments to be completed, they don't only need the messaging system and doesn't only need the settlement system, because they have the asset, that is central bank digital currency, they have the value. But in order to go through one ledger to another, they need a medium of exchange, a bridge currency, and that's where XRP comes in with the interledger protocol. Now, BTC maxis can deny this, but that's the truth and reality. They won't accept it anyway, but those who are hearing this as an XRP community member, we already know this, right? But the information which we are getting from on a daily basis is actually concreting our foundation here. And when we actually move further with that, we can actually see they actually said we've seen proposals over last year from large technology firms, for example, to build payment systems and crypto assets that could function more as a stable money. Now, this one, you can't actually ignore this. You can actually ignore all the Bitcoin shits and maxis and then just concentrate on the words which are coming out from this source. Say, for example, Bank of England. How can you actually neglect that? Now, this one is not actually so close now. It's April 7th. Now, that's not too far too compared to this one, right? Which is just came out yesterday. So in that aspect, when we get these news, we should be understanding that it's a long way and it's a long run, but we have already started running the marathon, whereas all the other assets are still waiting at the start line to get a pump and start. As Brad Garlinghouse used to state previously, that this is a marathon and we are just crossing the first mile. Now that was back, and now at least we passed 5 or 10 miles, and as we are moving ahead, we get a lot of positive news. Why? Because this asset has the use cases compared to any other asset, and that's the reason why we will prevail at the end. And this one really makes sense, right? When we actually talked initially about the congestion happening in different blockchains, and when these congestions happen, they can't really go between them, meaning the transfer within their network actually increases. We actually talked about the payment of BTC payment fee varying from say $2 to $50, $55. In that time, now they're actually coming to XRP. Now think about that. When these guys state there is no use case for XRP, this is really being used even by them. Say their own blockchain networks are not that scalable, not that frictionless, so they need something really efficient, and they actually come into it. As we heard previously, Ethereum was being transferred in the XRP ledger. Now what you have to understand is, yes, they are transferring that through the ledger. That means they have changed that into XRP and then back to their own currency. Now that's how I understand that. See, that's the reason why this will prevail, meaning you have that interoperability. Any shit asset can be put into XRP and transferred to another end. Still, it's going through the veins of XRP ledger, and that is important. Now, the way they put that is, research by our data scientists reveals that when blockchain networks become congested, XRP is used to exchange balance transfers. How can they deny that? The partnerships which we have on a regular basis, which we get updated on a regular basis, is so cool, because this one is actually showing dLocal integrates with Shopify. Now what we have to do with that? Now King Solomon actually put that into perspective. Say, for example, Ripple's blockchain is already partnered with dLocal, and now dLocal is integrating with Shopify. So that is so clear, right? They can actually process payments. Now Shopify is present in 175 countries, and they are a huge business now, with the total global merchandise of volume exceeding 41 billion for calendar year of 2018. Wow, they are growing. They are really growing so much, and in that aspect they have a lot to go in payments and transaction. So in that way, what you have to understand is they need something scalable to process all of this. Now they won't be putting everything together on a single day. Instead, they will first dip their toe and try this out. Once they are sure that this is reliable, then they'll move full on. Hope this episode actually brings some light to newbies, new guys who are here, who are being frustrated with the price fluctuation and who doesn't actually understand what these guys are coming out and stating. And if you really want to get more information about that, I'll actually say that you can directly visit Sam Ams to the lifeboats and get this information from them. Meaning he actually puts everything into perspective, which they are actually talking through. But as I've shown here, the perspective of these guys are always like this. They don't have the basic research. They don't have the basic idea about what XRP is. So don't give a damn about what they're saying. Just neglect it. If you are receiving value out of the content, do hit the like button, subscribe button, and the bell notification icon to get updated about the future videos.